In the world of watches, there are only a few brands who excel in making ultra-thin watches. Since a few years, Bulgari has entered this category, and right from the beginning they have been very impressive. In fact, since Bulgari started to focus on ultra-thin, they've been breaking one record after another. They've created a trilogy, being the thinnest minute repeater, the thinnest automatic watch and the thinnest tourbillon. This year, 2018, Bulgari smashes pretty much all records again with the Bulgari Octo Finissimo Tourbillon Automatic, which is the thinnest automatic watch and the thinnest tourbillon watch in one. We're going to talk with Jean-Christophe Babin, Bulgari's CEO, and Guido Terreni, Managing Director of Bulgari Watches.
Bulgari is Rome, is a mirror of Rome, as Rome has been the founding inspiration, and Rome somehow, even though it may look a bit arrogant, is Bulgari, and the two are very intimately intertwined in terms of values, in terms of science, having in mind the magnificence, the colors, the geometries of the city, as much as the jewelry and the watches. And obviously we have in mind the Serpenti as much as the Octo, thinking about those magnificent Roman ceilings. Well, of course, Bulgari is stemming from Rome. At the same time, we're a highly qualified watchmaster. We master Grande Complication, the Tourbillon, Grande Sonnerie. But one of the key differences in our genes, like Italian brands, we have the obsession for beauty, the obsession for design, and having in mind design doesn't mean anything necessarily classical. It can be design inspired by the world of geometry and mathematics. I think the Octo is exactly that. Rather than design inspired by the places of the city, when you think about the art jewelry, or even design inspired by very antique jewelry, thinking about Cleopatra's golden Serpenti bracelets, which have become, in the midst of the 20th century, the beautiful Bulgari snake circuit watches. When Bulgari started the Octo Finissimo project, what we had really in mind was to present gentlemen in watches the same kind of elegance we were offering to ladies in the field of jewelry. That is something which would contribute to their outer elegance as much as a very, very contemporary look. So obviously we came to a sporty design, and I think the Octo already gave us some inspiration. And we thought that turning that amazing design very thin could eventually, like a bit you have in fashion, the slim fit, it would really, for gentlemen, add to their slim fit, which was born Italian, also a watch which will echo that slim fit, that obsession for aesthetics in a very contemporary. So eventually the watch, the Octo, is quite sporty, but the first obsession was really the contemporary elegance, which would allow a gentleman to really feel trendy, but at the same time timeless. So at the inception, when we had the idea of the Octo Finissimo, the real obsession was to design for gentlemen the ultimate watchmaking elegance. And we really wanted to mirror in the watch what we as a jeweler we could present to ladies in the field of jewelry. So a timeless object which would contribute to the gentleman ultimate and contemporary elegance. And obviously the octagonal design combined with the thinness was somehow echoing the slim fit, which makes gentlemen so modern, so attractive. And obviously adding the Octo Finissimo watch accessory for us was the ultimate step, the same way as a high jewelry necklace would be the ultimate step for a lady with a beautiful evening gown.
Well, being an Italian brand, we are very keen on aesthetics. So in Bulgari, we are looking for an aesthetic for a gentleman that is contemporary, because aesthetic has to be fresh and has to be of every day. So with the Octo Finissimo, we really wanted to bring the ultra-thin watches into contemporary world. Finissimo in my opinion, is a watch that comes out in the watch industry once every 10 years. Every 10 years there is an innovation which really strikes out. And when you are a brand who is able to do such an achievement, obviously the brand benefits in terms of possibility to convey the creativity, the innovation, the frontier, if you want, in what we're doing. So I think the craft, the technique behind this watch that is at the service of the aesthetic puts the brand in the utmost possible place in watchmaking. Of course, when we had the idea of the Octo Finissimo, we didn't have the movements. So we had to start from developing the movements, and the first development started in 2011. And having such a savoir-faire in Bulgari through the acquisition of Danny Roth and Gerald Genta know-how in almost 20 years ago, we were able to develop and engineer and craft movements at the frontier of technique. When you are able to manufacture a Grand Sonnerie with more than 900 components in your watch, the quest for thinness is there, because you, in a much more thick watch, if you want, you have to fit in 927 components. So applying that knowledge to a simple three-hand watch was at the service of making the thinnest watches possible. And 4 world records came out of this know-how. The first in 2014 was the Octo Finissimo Tourbillon, the manual tourbillon with the movement of only 195 millimeters. That was followed by the minute repeater. The thinnest minute repeater was 2016 with 312 millimeters the movement, and then the thinnest automatic watch in 2017, and that was with 223 millimeters the movement. Then in 2018 we presented the thinnest automatic watch ever, and by the way, it is also tourbillon. So this is our 4th world record that really sets the bar of an automatic watch up to 195 millimeters, and it is also including a flying tourbillon. The object has to always be contemporary. The titanium sandblasted monochromatic look is a signature now, and it has set the contemporary masculine elegance to this new code. And through the minute repeater, but also through the automatic watch, we have now used this creativity to host inside the thinnest tourbillon, automatic tourbillon ever. Now, we're talking about the same thickness that you have on the manual tourbillon. Now, how is this possible? Because when you are adding a rotor, usually you add a thickness. In this case, no, because the rotor is peripheral. So basically, the watch is 2 millimeters wider because it has to host a peripheral oscillating mass that keeps the height of the movement at only 195 as the manual version. Now, there is a very important topic, because the oscillating mass has to turn freely, but at 3 o'clock there is the stem of the crown, so it interferes with the oscillating mass. And this is why you have a completely different way of setting the time. You have to press this push button at 4 o'clock, and this is a selector for winding the watch or for setting the time. So if you press it once, you set the time, and if you repress it, you wind the watch. This is because the setting time is done, and the winding is done through a system of wheels that makes like a sort of tunnel in which the oscillating mass is free to pass. And these wheels enter also into the bezel. So the case is a piece of art, because it's not only exquisitely thin, 3.95 millimeters of thinness is really a piece of paper, But it has to be also very technical, because without this system, the oscillating mass wouldn't be able to freely turn. So it's really a watch without compromises. In 2017, when we came out with the automatic in titanium sandblasted, we obviously were thinking that this would have become a very important piece in our collection. And we needed to build an assortment around it, because complications are very important and very beautiful, but they are for very happy few, because we're talking about 50 pieces a year, 100 pieces a year. So we needed really to build an assortment. And instead of doing like many would do, a black dial, a blue dial, and animate through dial animations, we really wanted to take the monochromatic concept to a further step. That is why we are accompanying the titanium with this beautiful white sandblasted steel, which is a patent that we have developed to get to this fresh and very modern way of looking at a steel watch. And we couldn't resist going also to the fully pink sandblasted version. So this is a trilogy, if you want, of a monochromatic sandblasted approach that makes the Octo collection in automatic up to now. Then obviously temptation to go in other colors are there, so how could we do a black watch? And what is black in nature? Carbon. We worked on our second world record, the minute repeater, and we did it completely in carbon. Carbon as you see it in nature, so it's not injected in a mold like you could see in other ways of treating carbon. This is really extremely difficult to craft, because it's extremely hard, and you can see through these lines that you have on the case. These are like a millefoglie of carbon leaves to give sturdiness to the case. Now, why did we do it on a minute repeater? First of all, because carbon chimes extremely well. Even if you want more than titanium, which is already a very chiming material that we use in our first minute repeater. And the second property is that it's extremely light. So already the titanium gives you a sensation that when you have it on your wrist, you forget to have it on your wrist. But basically, this is a full metal bracelet watch, and it's only 47 grams, the whole entire watch. And it's something that you have to try it on to understand what I'm saying, because you cannot describe how effortless it is to wear a watch like this.